These are some pretty sad times for quite a few people. We're remembering the 20-year anniversary of 9/11. I'm remembering 4 years ago today, at the time of this recording, that my father passed away. My wife is still in the hospital. She's been there almost a month now, again. I'm a little sensitive to things. I've been crying a lot. There was a house for sale up the street, and I started crying when I saw the sign. I didn't even like that dude. I think it was just the part of the grief thing of losing another thing, a neighbor. He didn't die or anything. He went to Florida, where I wanted to go. Shoot. But I'm crying over many things. I'm crying about friends. I did lose a friend 2 weeks ago. Found out on Facebook, actually, that he had died. That happens more and more. Stars, celebrities that passed away in the last couple of weeks. Sensitive. Life, death, loss, grief. I think I figured it all out, but I can't fix it. You're in the right place. Welcome to the Ken Blanchard Show, helping you, encouraging you, and making you smile with wisdom, interviews, and stuff to help you survive another week. All right, confession time. This week, I don't think you're going to be laughing too much. I don't think you're going to be smiling too much on this episode. But I'm hoping I said something or I say something that makes you think. Okay? All right, I'm going to ease into it with these bubbles. All right, start from the beginning. Tell me what happened and don't hold back. And we're going to listen to this 5 years from now and try to figure out what we learned. Okay. Somewhere in early 2021, my wife wasn't sleeping real well, which means I wasn't sleeping real well. And I had just started a new job and I was going through, and we're in the middle of this pandemic. I mean, everybody's talking about the coronavirus and the shots and all that, you know. And my wife was waiting around. She said, I don't know if I want to take the shot or not. My kids were saying the same thing. My kids are adults, so it's all, you know, conversation. But then my wife started having more trouble, headaches and migraines and rashes and a whole bunch of stuff that was unexplained. I just thought she was a hypochondriac. I thought, come on, suck it up. It can't be all that bad. She goes, no, I'm really itching right now. I can't figure it out. Or I got a pain that's moving in my head. It's here and it's there and my arm is numb and there's some weird stuff happening. So she calls the doctor and the doctor writes her off pretty much. Tells her, you know, you don't have high blood pressure. You don't have this. We'll just put you on some medicines because that's what we do. And she took them and said, nah, this is not it. Something's wrong. So after months and months of this, and me thinking, man, it's going to be rough as an old couple, me and her. She's all crazy and cranky, and I just got to deal with it. And I'm probably no bed of roses myself, so we're going to be an interesting group together. We celebrate our 30th year together as husband and wife this year, 2021. Wow. Ain't this something? But now what? Well, we find out in April that she has a very large brain tumor in her head. And it's non-cancerous. And they think they can get it out safely. And after a surgery, which they're going to go through her nasal passages and get this thing out. And then she'll be in the hospital for a week, 2 at the most. And then for the rest of the month, she'll be recuperating at home And by the second month, she should be back at work. That was the plan. Well, May 17th, she went in for the surgery. They couldn't do what they were going to do, so they had to stop after long, long hours and said, we didn't even get to the tumor yet. We were just doing some other stuff. Well, the other stuff took her out. She looked like she had been in World War II, and she even had some stroke-like symptoms. And it worried them after a couple of days. She started to deteriorate. So they went back in and said, we're going to finish this up, because at first they were going to send her back home to mend from the surgery because it can be traumatic to anybody. But this was different. It was traumatic already. So after a few days, they went back in over the weekend and removed 98% of the tumor. And they were successful. They thought they were doing okay. But my wife was not recovering like they thought. And after trips to the ICU and blood transfusions and who knows what else, she lost the ability to talk, to walk, to swallow. And she looked as if they had given her a lobotomy. My active, feisty, newly retired wife of 30 years. So we spent 30 days at a super hospital. She went to 30 days afterwards at a nursing facility to rehab, but didn't rehab her much. They kicked her back home. They kicked her out early, I thought, on July 4th, with hardly any prep on my behalf. We became the caregivers 24/7 for the month of July. And then at the end of July, she was starting to come around. I mean, we were communicating and she was having therapy and it was looking promising. But she had a fever that was spiking and pulse rate that just kept going up for no reason. So one Sunday, when I got all the kids together, we wrangled her into the car and went to the hospital. They kept her. And she's been there for 4 weeks now. It's traumatic. It's been the longest 4 months of my life. And I'm learning about myself, about the medical field, about life, about how we think about things. Most of what we do and react on is because of loss. It's a small word, LOSS. But most of us are loss averse. The reality is that loss is inevitable. We will all lose relationships, situations, and states of being that we enjoy and love. Even if we practice non-attachment, even if we think we're just going to be super stoic and not love anybody, we're going to become like Vulcans on Star Trek. At some level, you're going to lose. And then there's a grief process to that. Even in the loss, it doesn't have to be death. See, everything is fleeting. Everything eventually slips away. The sunshine that you enjoy is temporary for today. The sun is only up for so many hours in a day. Even the pain that you are feeling today, it's only for today. And we worry about losing things that we're going to lose anyway. So if we're so worried about losing them, then why do we absolutely try to do anything at all costs to avoid losing it? Some people would even sacrifice their very life to not lose anything else. But loss is real. I know people who have been in bad relationships and they will stay around because they don't want to lose the lifestyle that they have. They don't want to lose the grumpy person that they know versus the nobody that they won't have. They would rather be abused than to be alone. They hate the change of the circumstances. They fear the unknown. They don't want to lose what they have, even if it's bad. And I've learned that you can hold your hands so tight together that you can't receive anything new. This goes for physical, spiritual, and mental things as well. What are you holding on to so tight? All these thoughts are in my head now as I cry daily, as I am sad, as I am depressed, as I am going through all the stages of grief. My wife is still with me. My wife is still with us. But I am grieving the change. I'm grieving the loss of her in my bed. I'm grieving the loss of the way things were. I'm grieving the loss of time, which none of us own. We lose so many things. We lose the abilities in our bodies. Loss becomes a more frequent companion for many of us as we get older, and it can wear you out. It can hurt your heart. It can force you to reinvent and pick up the pieces of your life. Loss is inevitable, and it can feel so hard. I'm just here to tell you that you're not by yourself. There's stages in grief, They tell you about depression. There's remorse, acceptance. There's a bargaining side. There's anger. There's emotional release. There's denial. Yeah. But when you're in the storm, you don't want to hear all that. No storm lasts forever. But this one sure has lasted a long time. I'm listening to people complain about wearing the mask and the COVID variant and thinking it's a government conspiracy and putting all their energy and mindset into blaming somebody, some government, some power. And it's all because of anxiety and a loss of a lifestyle, loss of freedom. There's a whole bunch of stressed out people floating around here because of this pandemic. And the pandemic has also intensified the fears of losing more people. But can you control your fear? Maybe you can. I think you might have to discover what's behind it. Without realizing that many of us believe that if we think about our fears, that it'll prepare us for their devastating effects. But in reality, it's only a waste of time. I like the word rumination. Rumination does not make you feel more in control. The more you obsess over your worries, the more stressed you'll become. One thing that may help anybody that's going through this right now is discover what's underneath, what's beneath your stress. Is it the fear of being alone or that you can't handle the pain? The focus on the fear of losing someone may be a way to avoid dealing with other difficulties. Take some time and figure it out for yourself. Write it down if you can. I'm trying to figure out where I am right now. You see, I am a man of faith. I totally trust in the Lord, which puts me in a weird place as well, because no matter what, God is. No matter what befalls me, whatever comes, God still is constant. I know that. It makes my prayers strange because I know that He can do whatever He wants. I know that I can ask for whatever I want, that I can ask that my wife walk, talk, and be whole again real soon. And I know He's heard that already. But what is His will? And if your faith is not where mine is, which it won't be, because we all have a different measure of faith and trust, it's a growth thing, or you have none at all. This fear thing, this anxiety thing, this stress thing can be a monster. For me, I'm realizing how much I loved my wife. I didn't know. I didn't know that in every song, a mushy song, There's a line in it that's just about her, that I got the real deal, and I'm really happy about it. There's some stuff that I do that I know she doesn't appreciate, and not having her comment on it, correct me on it, I miss. 30 years is a long time with somebody. I truly love her. You know, anxiety about losing somebody can sometimes block you from loving them. People with insecure patterns avoid being in relationships because they don't want to be hurt. They're terrified of losing somebody. And if they do have somebody in their life close, they put them at arm's length. They don't want to be disappointed. Then you got those who go out of their way to please their partners out of concern that they'll be left alone if they don't, making you almost too needy, too weird. I've seen that before, where even a simple argument, people are afraid that their partner's going to walk out on them or pull away from them. Fear of loss. But you don't know what you don't know. We all got some weirdness in us, some imperfections. I guess the only way you can fix it is to change how you view loss. The scenario I just mentioned about the person who thinks that they'll never find love again, or that if the person leaves them, they'll be done, may never come true. But if it does, you can find a way to cope. What's impossible is how to predict how you're going to react when the real deal happens. Like, I didn't know how I was going to be when this is happening. I didn't. I'm adapting. It's not over, but I'm adapting. I know this kind of thing. I know the psychological, but it doesn't help me all the time. I'm going through some of the stages right now. I mean, the anger part, man, I got it. The depression, the loneliness, the sense of isolation. But I used Facebook for the first time for the right thing. I told a whole bunch of people, I shared it, and I got my community involved. And to my family, they thought I was sharing too much. I knew better. But out of respect for them, I pulled back a little bit. It doesn't hit me physically as much. I've been getting some tension headaches occasionally. Sleep has never been good since, 2 or 3 years ago. But some of that was because my wife was flipping around in the bed like a hot dog in a 7-Eleven. And my sleep pattern got kind of tore up. I've had the guilt thing, though, that I could have been more responsive, a better husband. I could have been on her side, and I called her hypochondriac. I having a little hard time sometimes returning to a daily routine. Like, I'm probably 5 years away from retirement legally, where they want to start paying me for Social Security and all that stuff, somewhere in there. I'm not quite sure how that works yet. I'm working on it. But I'm fighting not to check out already. I mean, I need something else to do. And I know it's the stress that's saying that. I got a good job right now. I got working with some great people that are really patient with me. They're helping me, actually. And if I wasn't with them right now, I'd be in a hurt locker. But it's the grief and the stress that's kicking me in the butt. And again, 5 years from now, when I listen to this show, I'll be reflecting on where I was now and where I am and then, or however that works. One way that you can get through this too is to be nice to yourself. They got fancy Buddhist words for it. It's called mindfulness. It encourages you to be present with discomfort. It teaches you to embrace the suck, as they say in the SEAL team. It teaches you to understand that it's okay to feel like crap. It's okay to be downhearted, blue, stressed, or gloomy. This self-compassion thing has been around forever. No matter how perfect other people's lives can see, everybody struggles with the same stuff: frustration, failures, loss. And that's kind of why it's powerful to connect with other people when you're going through the same thing. Because you won't know unless you ask, unless you put yourself out there. Because nobody's going to tell you all the time. You know, you got the people who are, I don't know what you call them. They're like drama queens. They love being in the spotlight. But there's some people out there hurting from divorce, hurting from the death of spouses. There's some people who lost jobs, homes. Loss is big. You got old folks that are grumpy right now. And I just figured it out. They were nice old guys earlier. Why are they mad now? Loss of their youth, loss of their whatever they used to have. I mean, they might have been like the best basketball player. They could have been a good golfer. They could have been a good shooter. They could have been a good lover. They could have been a good something. And now this person can't do what they used to do, and they're mad about it. It's grief. And that's why I titled this episode, I figured it out, but I can't fix it. If you do, you let me know. None of us might be able to eliminate this fear of loss, but we all can learn to deal with it. Fear is natural. Fear is necessary. It's something we cling to as a protective mechanism, but we don't have to. Realize that you are stronger than you think you are. Embracing the fact that you are vulnerable and practicing a little self-compassion are just a couple of ways that can help you get through this. And you can. Future self, I want you to remember this phrase. Sometimes things get hard, but hard doesn't mean it's impossible. And as always, I thank you for being a part of my life. If I can help somebody as I travel along, if I can help somebody with a word or song, if I can help somebody from doing wrong, then my living will not be in vain. This is your friend and your brother, the Reverend Ken Blanchard. And just in case nobody else has told you this today, I love you. And there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Until the next time, shalom, baby.
Thank you.